So I've had some time to spend using the phone, and let's go over my experience so far and see if it changes my recommendation at all. The first thing on the good list is the network speed, and this is a basic necessity for any mobile phone since everything is kind of based on the web nowadays. They're both on different networks, but I compared it to my Pixel Fold, and the Razr got the same or slightly better reception in pretty much every scenario. Now, since Razr's on T-Mobile and the Pixel Fold is on Verizon, that could be the difference, or it could just be that it has a better modem or antenna system than the Pixel Fold. But either way, it was very reliable, got good reception pretty much all the time. And the max speeds, in terms of specs, the max speeds that I got down on the down was around 850 to 900 megabits per second, nearly 1 gigabit. And then on the up, that was pretty impressive at nearly 125 megabits per second up. Next on my list is the outer screen. So the outer screen actually provides a really good way to respond to messages without having to open your phone. Pretty much with any messaging app that I've used so far, using the outside screen is a viable option. You're not really giving up anything when you're using the outside screen for messaging. The keyboard is comfortable. The size is more than large enough to view a couple of the recent messages, and so you kind of keep track of what you're reading. Plus, you could always scroll up and down to read the rest of the messages. And then on top of that, it really does keep you from being distracted by the other apps. So the other part of the outside screen that's a positive is the typing. It provides a comfortable experience when you're typing with both hands, and so far it's the best experience I've had when typing one-handed. So because my finger reaches across the entire outside screen when holding it in a regular position, I can tap every button on the keyboard without having to strain or slide the phone or anything. So in terms of one-handed, it's perfect, and it's big enough of a keyboard where you're not going to make too many mistakes in terms of pressing the wrong key. So typing on the outside screen is actually one of the better features of this phone. Number 3 on the list is the screen brightness. So on both the inside and outside screen, it's definitely bright enough to use outdoors. So I've actually used it in direct sunlight in South Florida, which is usually very sunny except for the afternoon thunderstorms. I was able to see both screens inside and out clearly while using it outdoors, and that's something you just don't get with all the foldables. So the only comparison I really have for this personally is a Z Flip 4, and the outside screen is kind of lackluster when it comes to using outdoors. So the brightness on this front screen is definitely a positive for this phone. Next, going into the inner screen, the crease is less noticeable both visually and physically. So I rarely notice the crease when I'm using the phone. When I'm watching a video, the brightness usually covers up the crease, and it makes it very difficult to even notice it. The only time I would really notice it is when I'm watching something that's really dark or using a dark app. That's when you kind of notice the crease a little bit visually. On anything bright, you really just don't notice it. And in terms of physically noticing it, I don't notice that either because of the way that I hold the phone. My thumb barely reaches where the crease is, so by the time it gets there, I'm not putting the same amount of pressure on the screen, and I just don't notice it. So the difference would be someone with longer fingers or someone that holds the phone a little bit higher, they would notice a little bit, but either way, it's still a lot less than, let's say, the Z Flip 4. In terms of my experience with the inner screen of a foldable, this is definitely the best experience I've had so far. The next thing on my list is that the phone handled hot weather really well. So I took it out at about 93-degree weather, and then I started updating apps and using the camera, and the phone got uncomfortably hot. Like, I didn't even want to hold the phone, mainly in the top section and in the frame. It got really hot, but the phone, with the leather back, kind of provided a comfortable position for my hands, and so I was able to keep using it. Now, with the phone being that hot, I still didn't experience any slowdowns. I didn't get any, overheating warnings, and the phone didn't shut down. And as soon as I came in, the phone started to cool down pretty quickly. So overall, I say that the phone really does handle the heat really well. And that transitions over to the next item on my list, which is the leather back. So it continues to be one of my favorite parts of the phone, and in the previous scenario, it really gave me a good spot to hold the phone while it got really hot, and that's just another win for the material. The 7th item on my list is the width of the phone. So I don't know if there's a Goldilocks measurement for the width of the phone, but this phone I would say is pretty close. It is wider than the Z Flip 4 by a little bit. It's actually kind of hard to really see it, but it does provide a more comfortable experience overall. The next item on my list is probably the weakest one, but I'm gonna include it anyway, and that's the Hinge. So I did mention on my initial review that the Hinge had me worried, and it was kind of one of the negatives on the build quality. But I'm putting it on the positive because it hasn't gotten any worse at all, and that kind of gives me some confidence that it's not going to continue to get worse, at least not quickly. The second reason I have the Hinge on the good list is because the Hinge being less stiff provides a better experience overall for the phone. So I'm not one that really uses tabletop mode too often, so that's maybe one of the reasons why I consider it good that it's not as stiff. But even then, the Hinge is stiff enough where you can hold it in various positions, but it's loose enough where it provides a good experience when opening and closing constantly. So me being that I mainly open it and close it all the way, about 95% of the time probably, or maybe even higher, the experience is better for me. Maybe for someone that uses tabletop mode a lot, they would prefer the stiffer one, but I would say in my scenario, the softer Hinge is a positive. Number 9 on my list is a biggie, and that's that the software experience has been pretty great. There are some cool features on the main display, but that's not really the selling point of the phone. The outer screen is very useful. The software really makes it so it's a viable option to use for many of the quick tasks. It kind of feels like it was made just for me because it kind of works really well with the way that I like to use the phone, where you just do something quick and put it down, rather than staying on it for a long time. So in terms of the software for the outer screen and even the inner screen, but mainly the outer screen, it really does deliver. The last thing on my good list is the battery life. So there's nothing really special about it. It's about the same size as the Z Flip 4, and it has the same processor, so all that is actually really close, almost exact. But it really hasn't struggled to get me through the day. So for context, my day consists of messaging on the outer screen throughout the entire day, watching videos for a short time on breaks, watching some more videos after work, and also reading some articles online. With that, my screen on time probably consists of about 4 hours, maybe sometimes 5 hours a day, and I'm left with around 35% or slightly more by the time I'm done with the day. One thing to note though is that I spend a lot of time on Wi-Fi, so that definitely helps with my battery life. So anyone that uses less Wi-Fi or no Wi-Fi at all would actually experience less battery life, so that's something to consider. So now we're on to the bad list, and the first thing on my list is the auto screen brightness. So I guess the sensor is too sensitive or something, but it is constantly changing, especially when I'm typing, specifically on the outer screen. So when I'm typing on the outer screen, I guess my finger kind of covers the direct light sometimes, and it kind of creates a shadow, and that pretty much instantly makes it start dimming, and that kind of gives a poor experience when it comes to using the outer screen sometimes. The issue usually occurs when I'm typing with both hands, and it can be quickly corrected by moving my finger out of the way a little bit. I haven't turned off the auto screen brightness because I think it's very important, especially when going outdoors. That's when you get the peak brightness to kind of help you see the screen a bit better. And I don't want to spend my time adjusting the brightness manually. That just doesn't seem like a good experience to me. So I leave it on and I deal with it. It does kind of mess with the user experience a little bit. The second thing on my bad list is that the phone sometimes stutters. Sometimes I open an app or I'm just going through the phone itself and it just pauses for like a second or two and then continues on normally. It hasn't happened as much lately, so I'm hoping that it's just from the initial setup and optimization period, but for now it's kind of got to stay as a negative. Next is the camera. So the camera app itself is actually good, so that's not part of the problem here. It's really the, I guess, image optimization. So with the Moto Razr Plus, the colors are a little bit muted and it kind of gives it kind of like a bland look, but the quality is still there. It's still a decent quality picture, so it's not like you're getting a bad quality. It's just that if you want the picture to pop a little bit, you're gonna have to spend some time on a picture editing app. And the last thing on my bad list is the wireless charging speeds. So it's kind of limited to long-term charging because it's just not fast at all. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, you know, you can't rely on it for a quick boost in battery. If you do need that quick boost in battery, you gotta plug it in with a wire, and let it charge quickly that way. So who would have a good experience with this phone? I would say that anyone that doesn't place too much emphasis on the camera, someone that doesn't use the phone too heavily on a daily basis, and anyone that enjoys a smaller footprint will probably have the best experience with this phone. Heavy users will probably run out of battery too quickly. Those who emphasize the camera will have to become familiar with a photo editing app, or anyone who is okay with a larger phone will benefit from getting that larger phone because they usually come with better specs and at a more reasonable price. So if you're looking for a folding phone, I say that this is a pretty good option. I just think that the $1,000 price tag is a bit steep, so I would say be a little patient, look for deals, and you can possibly save $100 or more. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.